What was a gift that made you speechless? 1. Back in another lifetime when I was flat broke, eating one small meal a day and would walk 10 kilometers a day to and from my fancy new office job I had just started so I could save on the bus fare, I was left in tears from an unexpected gift. It was my birthday, but I didn't tell anyone in the office because I was new there and hadn't really made any friends yet. I had only been there 2 weeks and it was a money pay cycle, so I was still another 2 weeks from my first pay. Anyway, every single morning I would make the receptionist a coffee. I really respected her position, even if nobody else did. She was so lovely and cheerful. Apparently this sneaky receptionist checked with HR for every new person that started when their birthday was and had a calendar to ensure they were wished a happy birthday. But they decided to do something a little extra special for me given I was new and wanted to make it a little welcome party as well. I usually got to work about 1 hour before anyone else. I had been given a set of keys and an alarm code. I liked to make use of the free coffee and turn the heating on and just chill out before the workday. I was always at my desk tapping away before the director arrived. He used to be the first to arrive before I started, which impressed him. Anyway, I walked in at 6:45 a.m. and there were balloons, confetti and decorations all over my desk. There was a lovely card, which I still have, signed by all 40+ team members wishing me happy birthday. I broke down because at that time, I had nobody in my life to say happy birthday. I was all alone in this world, until that morning. As other staff started arriving, they each brought in plates of food to share. When the director arrived, his wife gave me roses she had picked from her garden and he gave me a 10-pack of pre-mix alcohol. During the day we all nibbled on the shared food, had a slice of cake and were so merry. What a beautiful and thoughtful gift to celebrate my birthday. I wish they knew how much that meant to me. 2. I was 39 with a 4-year-old son, becoming a single mom through adoption, and everything was great. I had a great career, lots of friends, the child I'd been dreaming of, etc. Suddenly, a massive heart issue popped up, leaving me on disability for 11 months while it was diagnosed and treated. We had just moved to a new place a couple of months prior. Then, just after I paid the bills and went in for a minor heart procedure, it turns out the people I had been renting from were not the owners of the house. They were squatters and I was scammed. The actual owner showed up wanting me to pay first, last and deposit, and the past due electric bill that was nearly $1,000 at that point. My rent included utilities. Obviously I couldn't pay it, so I had to move out quickly just 2 days after heart surgery. We found a place and I got help moving the majority of stuff. Some was stolen while we were moving the other stuff. I was released to go back to work and my HR informed me that they had accidentally overpaid me during my disability. They were deducting that from my next 4 paychecks. About the same time, the franchise tax board hit me with a penalty for not filing my taxes the year before and garnished 25% of my wages. So I was getting about $850 a month at that time. We were sinking fast. I wasn't fully recovered enough to have strenuous work and I only get paid once a month at my regular job. I was at my breaking point. Then, my only vehicle broke down. Again, I am not super religious, but I do pray and I was definitely be my knees at that point. I didn't know what I was gonna do. My credit was shot. I was Saul. One day I get the mail. There was a ton of bills in there. I left them sitting on the table for 2 days, because I cannot pay them anyway. Finally, I sat down to figure out how bad this was gonna be and I noticed that one of the letters is a greeting card with no return address, but addressed to me. I open it up and there is a beautiful card that says, "I see you struggling and I see you keep going. You are so loved and you will overcome this. Signed, Jesus Christ." Inside the card was $2,000 in cash. I couldn't speak for a few minutes. I still have no idea who sent that card, but it was definitely a game changer for us. To whoever sent that card and money, they definitely changed our lives. 3. My husband and I were members of a wealthy church. We were by no means even close to wealthy. We moved to a new town about 35 miles away but still went to church there. The apartment complex we lived in had assigned covered parking. Naturally people would park in your spot on a regular basis. One evening I came home from work and a small white car was parked in my spot. I went to the apartment grumbling under my breath and started griping the minute I was inside. My husband and his buddy took me down to the car saying the whole time we should find out who owns it. My husband told me to look and see if I could tell who had owned it. I could see a paper on the driver's seat but couldn't tell what it was. My husband encouraged me to open the door and get the paper. I'm thinking this whole time he's nuts and I protested about opening the car door. He wouldn't take no for an answer. I opened the door, picked up the paper, which turned out to be a greeting card. The envelope had my name on it. I opened it and a car key was taped to the inside of the card. I'm still totally confused and turned to my husband who had a huge smile on his face. I'm really thinking he's nuts at this point. Turns out that a couple we were friends with had given us the car. I had no words. I had never known anyone to give a car to someone other than family. The husband, Bill, had retired from his long-time job about 45 minutes away and no longer needed the car to commute. It was a small Toyota Tercel that was as basic as it comes. The greatest feature was the air conditioning worked. We lived in the high desert of Southern California and it got hot there, so the air conditioning alone was a bonus gift. We drove the heck out of that car. We moved to Fort Worth, Texas. A few months later, we made multiple trips to our property in far northern New Mexico. It's a 13-hour drive one way. We drove that car until my husband wrecked it on a rainy day. It had about 315,000 miles on it. It had 60,000 when we got it. It was truly a speechless moment. I will never forget the kindness of Bill and Jenny. It was a godsend. 4. My wife and kids gave me a 30 pounds rock. I opened the box, thinking, What the crap is this? It had a steel plate attached with in memory of written on it with my mother and father's names, for my garden. It pleases me that anyone that stops to look at the flowers can see it's a memorial to my parents. I didn't have words. 5. For my 18th birthday, my family threw a large party at our house and all my aunts, uncles and grandparents came. My mom made all my favorite foods and one of my grandmas made a delicious pineapple upside down cake from scratch. When it was gift time, I was very overwhelmed with every gift I opened. I knew my family was proud of me, because it was almost graduation time and I'd been accepted into several nice colleges. They definitely showed it in their gifts. Wow. I opened several different jewelry items, lots of money/gift cards, dorm room supplies and even a new laptop. I was floored and ecstatic by the time I finished unwrapping everything, as they clearly put a lot of thought and money into every gift. I started to say thank you to everyone, when my aunt jumped up off the couch. "Oh, I forgot your gift in the car, can you come grab it for me?" I said sure and followed her outside. I walked to her in my uncle's car, with everyone following me outside. I knew something was up then. Before I could do or say anything, she handed me the keys, with a big bow on them. "Happy 18th birthday, sweetie." My aunt and uncle had bought a new car and gave me their old one. I couldn't get a single word out of my mouth. All I could do was bawl my eyes out. I think it took me 10 minutes to calm down enough to talk. I had been working part-time for 2 years to buy my own car. I had paid for and taken a driving class myself and gotten my license myself. I couldn't believe that it was just being given to me. I loved that car to pieces and drove it for a few years, until the engine finally blew. Now I only buy red cars, in its memory. 6. When I was around 12 years old, my mom told me that I probably wouldn't get anything for my birthday. Dad was in between jobs and we were struggling. I was always nosy and knew they were struggling, so I tried to shrug it off as well as I could, just to not upset my mom, but of course it still affected me. On my birthday my mom said she had to go get some small groceries for dinner. I was sort of feeling down all day at this point and she left as I was doing dishes. When she finally got home she called me outside to help her unload groceries from the trunk, and when I walked around the back to her, there was a cake for me. I burst out crying because I wasn't expecting anything. It was the most meaningful gift I've ever received in my life. The cake was decorated with blue and green tartan designs. I cherish that memory. I wish I could go back in time and give my mom another hug like I did that day. 7. A friend of mine was very ill from ovarian cancer. She got her day carer, her sister, to phone me and ask me to go over for a visit, and to say that I could stay for half an hour as she tired very quickly. I agreed, and arrived. My friend was swigging whiskey at 10 in the morning. What the heck? What difference did it make between shots of morphine anyway? She handed me an envelope that had instructions for a passage I was to read at her funeral. "The They Shall Mount Up with Wings as Eagles passage." And inside the envelope was a diamond and sapphire eternity-style ring. She had bought it from a jeweler on the Ponte Vecchio in Florence, and chose to give it to me because we had once spent a very happy 2 hours in her office at the university, discussing D.H. Lawrence's poem Bats, which is about the Ponte Vecchio. The association and the memory are the loveliest things about the gift. It was my last visit to her. She died a few days later, and I did read the passage at her funeral, as she had requested. I still miss her, 20 years later.